Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hit and Hustle from IrishSportsDaily.com. I'm your host, Greg Flammang, and with me, as always, is Jamie Uyeyama, Mr. Jamie University. It is Wednesday, January 14th. We just heard from Marcus Freeman for the first time since National Signing Day in December. Talked about a lot of topics, talked about the portal, talked about, first of all, the accusation that came out from the wrestling match. Strong words for the South Bend Tribune on that. I talked about Charlie Partridge and talked about the NFL, of course. And so we're going to get into all of that. It's nice to have some content like this to hear from the head coach. I think people were very excited. There were 4,900 people in the waiting room for that stream to start. So a lot of interest in what Marcus Freeman had to say today. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you like what you hear, hit that like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know whenever it is we are going live. Today is kind of a good day to have hit that notification bell because this is we don't normally go on a Wednesday, but Marcus Freeman spoke, so we did a show. As always, the show is brought to you by ESQ Clothing, founded by Notre Dame alum Ge Wang. He is Chicago's go-to for the best custom suits, shirts, and sport coats. Known for their next-level craftsmanship using the finest fabrics, ESQ has introduced a 100% Pima cotton t-shirt to go along with its award-winning bamboo dress shirt, available for purchase online. They've got showrooms both downtown Chicago and in Winnetka. Book your custom fitting at esqclothing.com and step into confidence with Chicago's finest. Mention ISD at your appointment and use code ISD at checkout to receive 10% off your entire purchase. It's esqclothing.com. Jamie, we didn't really discuss the accusation for the police report on this show because there isn't really anything to talk about. First of all, Marcus Freeman was very upset. He thanked the I think kind of like the local media, the beat. Obviously, everyone knew about this. We knew about this for a week. We didn't know about the existence of a police report, so that's true. But we knew that there was an incident.
Yeah,
we had heard it. There was just like nothing to it. So there's nothing really to talk about.
An alleged incident.
Yeah. And so it comes out. The video is what a disgrace. Like honestly,
beyond a nothing burger.
Embarrassment. Not only is it not as a nothing burger, like it for me, it's like the other way of like, wait, did you just lie to the cops about what happened? Because
should probably be charged with
everything that they said.
Police report.
Yeah, everything that they said was not the case. So we're like on the side of like maybe this, if anything, this is filing a false police report. But he was cleared. Marcus Freeman did make a point. Like, listen, he's a public figure. People go after him. His children are not. They are not public figures. For someone to taunt, heckle a high school athlete who isn't even a part of the school that you coach at, and wasn't involved, like his school was not involved in the match, a total embarrassment, like an absolute embarrassment and a disgrace. And I think that's all we have to say about it. He was also asked about the NFL. Jamie, I want to get your thoughts on this. Non-committal in the way that Marcus Freeman is. He did say uncertain future, which is funny to me, but what was your take on the NFL and the way that he kind of addressed those rumors?
I thought he handled it exactly how I kind of thought he would because, like there were obviously several questions that were asked about the NFL,
yes.
Which I think is totally fair because obviously it's been a long time since he spoke with the media. And over that time, he had interviewed with teams. He, his name kept popping up. Like it was, even after he committed back, it didn't matter. There were reports that came out. Ian Rappaport, teams don't care. Teams don't care that he's committed back to Notre Dame. And then Mike Tomlin steps away from the Steelers. It's like a rush of Marcus Freeman to this, like Dan Orlovsky going on First Take or whatever.
That's the first call. You have to call him. Like you have to.
So, and this is whatever, because I saw there's, forgive me I forgot who said it, but someone's like, well, Dan Lanning and Dabo and whatever. First of all, Dabo. No one's calling Dabo for anything. It's been years since they've called Dabo. Yeah. But But Kirby Smart, these guys' names aren't getting. No one's talking about that. They don't. They get asked once and that's it. And it's like, all right, thanks. They're not. Their name isn't getting thrown into the thing as like this is a guy that the NFL wants. Like that is something. Which is if I think it's very similar to what happened with Chip Kelly. With Chip Kelly when he was at Oregon, and that was a whole thing, right? And it was like, well, the NFL is intrigued by Chip Kelly, and then obviously he eventually went, flamed out or whatever. But then it didn't work out for him. But that was a thing. It was a whole thing with him, and in hindsight, he's probably a moron. He should have stayed at Oregon and just kept winning for forever. But that was his thing, and I just think that like no one should get upset about Marcus Freeman even being like non-committal about like what is happening, because exactly like he said, if he keeps winning and doing well, like if they win the national championship, it's going to be a full press to try to hire him in the NFL next year. That is going to happen.
Yeah.
If they make the playoff and they do, that's going to happen again. And even if he says no, he'll still be on the list for the foreseeable future, because it's not like it's like David Shaw or Matt Campbell where it's like, yeah, these guys like they're doing pretty good. It's like, no, because if he's winning the way that people expect him to be winning at Notre Dame, then he is always going to be one of those guys there. Because look at the coaching cycle right now. Like, Greg, you and I know, like we're following like who the Ravens are going to interview, who the Steelers are going to interview. It's not like a loaded class of candidates this year for head coaches, right? Like it's not like there's not a lot of obvious guys. So yeah, of course there's going to be someone like because I saw Brian Kelly's name.
Yeah.
Of course there's going to be someone like Marcus Freeman's name who's going to get thrown in there. But all you can say is that none of that, any of that stuff affected how they just killed it in the portal. Like they just absolutely closed and did everything you can, which is why I don't think it's going to affect how they recruit either. Yeah, of course there's going to be something. It's not the same now that where they said like, well, if you sign there, then you're stuck there and the coach might leave, whatever. No, if the coach leaves, you can jump right in the portal. You can go inside somewhere else. Like, so I don't think that's a thing anymore. That's not going to deter anyone who wants to play for Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame. So I don't really see it as like anything bad. It's just like keep winning, and professionally, I hope Marcus Freeman stays at Notre Dame for a long, long time and keeps winning. And because guess what? It's fun when Notre Dame is doing well in the portal and when they're signing elite recruiting classes and they're winning on the field and they're kicking butt and doing all that. It's way better to cover the team when it's like that. But also there are things that come along with it that could happen. And if it happens, Marcus Freeman doesn't have to give Pete Bavacqua heads up that I might take this. If Pete Bavacqua doesn't always have a pool of people that he's thinking about, then he's bad at his job. Like he should be always thinking about it. And frankly too, I think that was like Jack Swarbrick even talked about that even with Kelly and stuff too, is like he always had lists of guys of like who it could be for like all sports or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all AD should kind of have that, because you just never know. You never know what can happen. And the thing is too, is like who you think is the top guy right now can change in a second. Luke Fickell,
yeah,
as Notre Dame's going to play Wisconsin, he's not that guy right now. Like, so everything can change in a hurry. All you know is right now, hey, you cannot say he is not all in, because they are all in right now.
Yeah. First of all, credit to Tyler Horka. He did trip him up with the "Are you interested in NFL?" question. I mean, because he definitely didn't know how to respond. And I will say, like,
you dream of it one day, yeah.
Yeah, and Marcus gave the gave the kind of answer that you would give. Like I used to, when I was I used to recruit. I used to be a corporate recruiter for things, and people would talk about, jobs or whether they wanted a job or whatever. And I would always tell them, well, don't say no to something that hasn't been offered yet. Right. And that's kind of what Marcus Freeman said. He's like, I don't think about things that aren't in front of me. So like, I haven't been offered the NFL, so I'm not going to say yes or no. Right now, that is not a great answer for a press conference in terms of what people want to hear. Right. Doesn't make it any less like correct or anything. People don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear mishy mouthy. I haven't thought about it.
People want to hear I'm going to stay at Notre Dame forever.
And I love it so much. I would never leave. Right. That's what people want to hear. I mean, he gave the answer that he gave there. It was a good question by Tyler. He was.
Yeah, it was.
It's weird that he didn't have an answer for that, because I thought it was a pretty like you could predict it, right? So I'm surprised he didn't have something ready to go there. On the NFL, I think that it's a lot of the things that we kind of talked about. Like he mentioned, I use these things to get better as a coach, right? I talk to other coaches about or I talk to general managers about like, what are you looking for? What are you looking for in a head coach? What do I not have as a head coach? Like, what do I need to improve? Like these are good answers, right? And I think for me, the main takeaway from this is like he will be Notre Dame's head coach in 2026. And that's all you can really say, right? Like think about how we're talking about this today and how we would have talked about this a year ago, right? It just didn't come up. And now it's like prevalent everywhere. And the thing you just said is like, you don't know how things will change over time, because
ban this one, Indiana. Who are these losers who just come into here? Like, what do you do with your life? These people who come in here, it's like, hey, enjoy. You got Signetti. You're doing well.
Well, also the other part. Who's the last team to beat Indiana, Jamie?
Notre Dame.
It was University of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So anyway, so what was I talking about? What was I talking about? I lost my train of thought.
That you don't know.
Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. Last year, we mentioned it before, but last year at this time, it was Mike Mickens. Definitely never. He will not be around after 2025.
Yeah.
Mike Mickens is around, and he will be around. And by the way, they have maybe the best secondary in college football. So you just never know, and where things will go. Marcus Freeman did say he hopes this happens every year, which I understand the sentiment. Another thing that fans don't want to hear, though.
Well, it's just one of these things. This is what I know from this job, is that everything is always fluid. And it's not just like Brian Kelly leaving, after he had been at Notre Dame for a dozen years or whatever. I'm just talking about any kind of thing. Like, so
well, hey, here's an example of something always being fluid. Jalen Sneed yesterday announces he is back again. Who after the Louisville game in 2024, if you were placing bets on will Jalen Sneed be on the 2026 football team?
No way.
It would have been like not on the team minus 50,000. Like it would have been taken off the board. He obviously wouldn't have. So kind of
No, but that is also like that is a great example, right? Like, and things change, or even like I wouldn't have said, prior a few months ago, I wouldn't have said, well, Josh Burnham's not going to come back. Like, I wouldn't have predicted that. Right. Then obviously, like as things were materializing, then you're like, yeah, he's not going to come. Like we knew before that he went in the portal that he wasn't going to come back. But like, it's just one of those things. Like things change, whatever. Everything's fluid. But I think of like Max Bulla. Max Bulla, would he be going to Michigan State if they didn't fire Jonathan Smith? Probably not. Like he's going there. Fitz went and targeted him, and Pat Fitzgerald, and he's there now. So that opened up the linebacker job. Then it moved Al Washington there, and I'd never thought Charlie Partridge, he's going to be the defensive line coach. Never thought that. I don't think that you would look at Dalen McCullough. Probably didn't take the Las Vegas Raiders running back job, thinking that Pete Carroll's getting canned in 1 year, right? He'll be fine. He's going to land a job and whatever, right? Like Dalen McCullough will he'll take another NFL job, I'm sure. Someone will hire him. Might go back to Kansas City with Andy Reid. Who knows? But that is something that you just don't know. It's just like things change so quickly. Just how Marcus Freeman was not the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame. He was the defensive coordinator for Cincinnati, and in basically a year, he went from defensive coordinator at Cincinnati, defensive coordinator at Notre Dame, head coach at Notre Dame. No one had if Brian Kelly leaves, who's on your hot board? Marcus Freeman, the defensive coordinator at Cincinnati, was not. So it just you never know, right? You just never know. And it's just one of these things, right, where everything can change. And this is the whole portal is a perfect example, because I was always thinking, man, Francis Brady, that'd be a great guy if he went in. That would be great. But then he didn't go in right away. So it's like, I guess maybe he's not going in. It's like, well, Notre Dame really needs a defensive tackle. I don't know what they're going to do here. All of a sudden he becomes he's top of the board guy, right? That was all of that. And you talked about it a lot, Greg, how who we thought in that first initial weekend, most of the guys that Notre Dame got were not even on the radar. Yeah. And that's just how it changes.
And Marcus Freeman did say they knew that second wave was going to have some talent, right? And he mentioned to Mike Martin, you got to be patient, and Mike Martin, that was his plan. And I think maybe it's, Marcus Freeman kind of alluded to him getting a little bit antsy, and Marcus Freeman's just hang in there. We're okay. And we'll get to that in just 1 second. Another thing this Freeman thing does is I think that, to his point, it is true. Notre Dame fans need this conversation to be happening again next year, because they need this team to be very good. And I think they're setting up to be very, very good, if not title favorites. And so that's just a reality of it. And the fact is that his name is out there, and it is very likely that this conversation will come up again next year. But Pete Bavacqua, and not just Pete Bavacqua, but other prospective coaches, know Notre Dame might be open in 2026. And so he can do back channels on, hey, is this coach, would he be interested in it? Because it's one thing for it to pop up and people haven't thought about it. It's another thing for, I'm just going to throw out a name because there's no connection. The only connection is he's coached at Notre Dame before. It'd be very hard for Mike Elko to leave Texas A&M if Marcus Freeman was to go to the NFL tomorrow. Then it would be a year from now, after Pete Bavacqua has done back channels and Mike Elko's kind of thought about it. I know Notre Dame might be opening up. Is that something I want to do? It's easier for them to line up a top level coach when A, okay, it's coming up, and B, you look at the way Notre Dame is recruiting, the way that, frankly, and we can transition to the portal, because this was another thing that got brought up. Underclassmen are now on the menu. There is no restriction anymore on the year you are and where you are in your academic calendar. That is a huge deal. And, this is kind of credit to Mike Frank on this, because he has always said, you're going to do this eventually. You should do it now. And how many players have they lost out on in the past that could have helped them, who were underclassmen? And now they've broken down that barrier, and that is no longer a factor. And it led to the portal that they have now. But it's just that makes Notre Dame even more attractive in the eyes of a top level coach, because they have done that. So talk about that in terms of that was part of their strategy and Marcus Freeman going to admissions and going to the deans and getting everyone on board with the fact like, hey, college football is different now. We can't do the freshman graduate thing anymore. We need to get it. Whoever wants to come, they need to be open to Notre Dame.
Yeah, well, I mean, not that whatever. I'm not talking about Mike Elko as a candidate,
Right.
but I'm just talking about Mike Elko specifically because one of the reasons why, I mean, in addition to getting a fat check to go be the defensive coordinator at Texas A&M, one of the reasons he left is he was like, we can get all these guys that you can't get at Notre Dame. Like that was definitely a major reason why he went and took that job. Like he knew that you're going to be able to get different type of dudes at Texas A&M because you can get different level of guys into school. And that is like a factor. And, or like, you know, he knew that they're probably, I mean, obviously this is pre-NIL, they were dropping bags left and right. So you know, that kind of thing. So I think, and now that obviously there's way more things evolve, obviously the facility and all that, it's different. The job, like we talked about earlier, Marcus Freeman made the job more attractive. He's helped make the job more attractive for whoever the next guy is. And that's just a fact, right? So, and it's also, he's made it more attractive for him to stay. Like he's made it like a better job to show like, hey, I can stay here and I can win here and I can do this and I'm not going to be limited and all of these kind of things. Right. And, you know, when he's gotten things done. So that is, so the thing is too, is if he leaves, then it's like, well, then he's just going to leave, but you can't say that there isn't, things set up in place for them to be successful. Like I think right now, obviously there's still, they still could add in the portal. You know, I'm
going to ask you about that in a second. Just hold that thought.
They still could add. Teams are not done either, right? Like there's still some like big name guys out there left. And obviously too, you look at how like say Hollywood Smothers was committed to Alabama and then he's all of a sudden he just boom signed with Texas. So I don't know about some of these guys might not have signed contracts. I don't know, like whatever. Yeah. There could be some of these other flips here and there too that are going to change things. I mean, the Notre Dame guys, don't worry about those guys. They've signed. But I'm just talking about around the country. But you know, things are changing, you know, rapidly just within who is going to be like the contenders and all that kind of stuff. Like obviously LSU looks different than they did 2 days ago. Now that it's like, well, they got Sam Leavitt. They just got Houston Longstreet today. Right. So,
oh, did he commit to them?
Yes, he did. So, Miami looking rough actually with the portal for quarterbacks too. And so that's another thing. Like, and there's no spring. Hey, I lost the job. I got to get out and do that. It's like, guys got to get out now. And tomorrow's the last day to do it. And they're still like, I still see like this guy just entered the portal. So there are going to be some things that happen there that can change. But as of right now, I mean, I don't care about way too early top 25s or anything like that. Who cares? I only talk about like who's actually like who's a contender to actually win it all. Notre Dame's right out there near the top with anybody from who they are already bringing back to who they've added. They're right near the top.
Okay. Remember when the portal started, Notre Dame had a chance to do something where it's like, hey, like we're title like favorites, not just contenders, like title favorites. I'm going to tell you right now, if they get, is it Tion Gray? You know how to say that?
I think it's Tion Gray, but I'm not.
Tion Gray. Sure. Okay. He's visiting. I think it's tomorrow. If they get him, they're title favorites. That if they get him, this will be a it'd be an all-time defense. He's 6'6", 330.
Yeah.
Okay. You put him next to Brew. You put those guys. You put Bryce Young outside with Boubacar Traore outside. You use the linebackers, and you have the best secondary in the country. They're going to give up 10 points a game. You add. We'll talk about Mylan Graham in a second, who I'm just over the moon about. And here's the other part. I don't this conversation, and we'll I don't know where Quincy Porter is with his knee. We'll figure that out. Personally, I don't know that he'll even be practicing until like the fall or whatever. Kind of doesn't matter given everything else. To me, I don't care whose boundary. I don't care who's the three best, in my opinion, are going to show to be Mylan Graham, Jordan Faison, Jaden Greathouse. Have those three on the field at whatever you want. I don't care. I think Mylan Graham could play the boundary. There's some boundary snaps that he had at Ohio State. I think he could. I think Greathouse could. Shoot, I think Faison could if you really wanted to with a certain type of offense. It doesn't have to be traditionally the way that it's been. My point is that you have those guys. Notre Dame has enough at running back. The offensive line, what's coming back. They're just, to me, when you have a defense like that that's going to give up 10 points a game, I don't care. Your title favorites or among them, right? I mean, I don't, among the top three people, plus 250 or whatever in Vegas. I'm just saying, like, they have set themselves up to be just an absolute wagon on defense in 2026. Even if they don't land him, right? And we'll see about Jason Onye. I don't like to predict the NCAA because they're without. It's kind of like the committee. They're just kind of, they do whatever they want, and who knows what the situation is. But even so, I just think Notre Dame will be able just adding Francis Brew makes it so much. It just elevates the ceiling of that defensive line. I just think the thing that we needed Notre Dame to do, they've done it, and so we'll see on Tion Gray. What is your evaluation of him since he's coming in tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's a monster, right? Like you said, 6'6", 330. He is like a true nose tackle, like a space eater type, a guy who's gonna hold the point of attack. Not really. He's a 2-down player, right? Like he's a run guy, right? He's not going to play on third down, but they don't need him on third down. So it's not like a thing there. And obviously he has room to grow in a lot of and develop in a lot of ways. But if you think about it, like he played, over 230 snaps for Oregon last year. And if you're playing over, and he's a redshirt freshman, so he has up to 3 years of eligibility left. So he's got that. Typically, just any guy who plays in their second year, if they play 200 plus snaps at a school like Oregon, at a school like Notre Dame, those guys, he was going to very likely be a starter for them next year. So it's not like it was a guy they wanted to keep. Mm-hmm. So there's a very good chance he could be a starter for Notre Dame. And the thing is, they don't have anybody like him. And even if he's not a starter, he's still like a high quality rotation guy at the very least. But they don't have anybody like him. And then all it does too is it's just kind of like the thing with Graham, right? Is like Marlon Graham, I think, has a chance to be great, obviously, and has a ton of talent, but it is exactly what we talked about yesterday with all of those guys there at receiver now. And I think about, when at Notre Dame, when they had the boundary and when they had Equanimeous St. Brown, Miles Boykin, Chase Claypool, all big bodied boundary guys, and obviously they were just like, well, like Claypool, you're gonna just play the field right now because we got to get you on the field, like you got to play. But Boykin was like good and couldn't play that 2017 year because he just couldn't get in front there. That's kind of where they're at receiver. They're going to be in a position where like good guys aren't going to play all that much because it's going to be hard to the competition. So it is going to be I did love how Marcus Freeman did the leave no doubt
Yeah.
It's true. Like very, remember the Titans. But he talked about specifically, like, leave no doubt, like, this is your job as a starting job too. And it's like the internal competition is what pushes guys to be great. And I think that's one of the things that can really like elevate things and get them to like another level there. And even just saying like bringing in Tion Gray, like this, like I said, if he's not come in and he doesn't start, it's because somebody else, like, it's because you're like, wow, Davion Dixon, I'm just throwing him out as a name.
Yeah.
Just like he really took a big jump and all of a sudden he's a dude. Like there's going to be things like that, but that's what you want. And it's like, we talked about Armel Mukum, right? And how he's going to help us this year. It's like they do have a need there, but it's like that is just another thing where it's like nothing handed to you. Go take it and do it. And so I don't know. It's, if you kind of go through it, it's probably the roster, if you look at all positions, that it's ever been. Like in the last 25 years, really, like from top to bottom, when you're talking about like depth and stuff too. So that's why it's like the only real thing is like, okay, the backup quarterback, but that's the same thing with most teams of like what it would be if the backup quarterback's there. And then again, the backup quarterback's going to get, he'll be surrounded by a ton of studs. So I really like where they're at.
You have to, it's not even a question. You're going to like the 90s, early 90s, in terms of depth and overall like level of talent on especially the defense. And then you haven't had a quarterback like CJ Carr. And Marcus Freeman made the point. Not only is it the second year that the first time he's had a returning quarterback, also paired with the returning offensive coordinator, which is new, right? So you're just kind of building on what they did last year and things like that. He did say, he addressed not taking a portal quarterback to back up CJ Carr. And he kind of talked about the difficulty of finding that player who is going to be okay to back up CJ Carr, but also better than everyone else they have on the roster. And that player is pretty hard to find. It's just generally speaking, it's hard to find. What do you make of that? I mean, I do think, but they do have three guys. They do have Blake Hebert. They do have, they will have Noah Grubbs, and they will have Teddy Gerard. Marcus Freeman can't say him because he hasn't signed yet, so that's why he didn't say his name. So he didn't say him, but those are the three guys. Of those three guys, like they need to be able to find a player who, if CJ Carr was to miss a game, or like a half,
or a couple games, or just step
like
in
a game or two, right? Like CJ Carr gets a concussion, can't play the next week. Like someone has to play. They do need to find someone who can then go win you a game. So that's kind of where it is. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely what it is. Like you want to get to a situation where, and we talked about how, that, 2017, 2018, when it was like Wimbush and Book, right? And like if you think about both of those years, there was like Wimbush missed a game. And I mean, eventually, Book took over in the bowl game and all that, but North Carolina game, he's not available. Book had to play. It wasn't like Book, lit the world on fire, but he was good enough for them to win and do exactly what they needed. And then same thing, Florida State, the next year in 2018, where Wimbush, it's like, it's humbling. You got benched and all that, but you got to come in here and win a game. Played well in that game. They won. Like that's the kind of thing that you might need. Right. And, most of the time you're not going to, it's a totally different thing of like, how good a team can be if they lose their quarterback and all that too. But then again, no one ever saw Deshaun Kaiser coming in and being like as good as he was in 2015 when, Malik Zaire went down. And
Yeah.
but also that was a big product of the team around him. And he was set up to succeed. So whoever wins the backup job is going to be set up to succeed if they have to play. So it just whoever it is, it's going to be a young guy. That guy has to know that guy. You have to be able to run the offense. You're not going to be able to do the exact same things you do with CJ Carr, but you still have to be able to run the offense like it is. It's still like you can't be limited. You can't be in a situation where it's like, well, we got to do the Phillip Rivers thing where he can't throw the ball down the field or whatever. Or like how like when Andrew Hendricks came into the game against USC, and it was like, oh my gosh, like this, you can't have those situations. You just have to be good enough to like win it in a pinch. And it's obviously a completely different situation if it's like a Buckner, hurts his shoulder and Pine has to play the whole season or whatever. But even then, like I think if Pine was playing with this team, he'd still probably get them into the playoff.
Yeah.
Like I'd maybe not win it, but they probably get into the playoff just because the team around him was built up good enough.
Yeah. Notre Dame added a kicker out of the portal. Spencer Porath from Purdue. I think he's 22 of 28 for his career. He was 15 of 17 last year, 7 of 11 his freshman year. He's 5 of 6 from 40 plus, 2 of 3 from 50 plus. Never missed an extra point. I'm sure you looked at him a little bit. 22 of 28, you'll take that. 15 of 17, you'll definitely take that. I think he broke the record at Purdue for field goal percentage in a season. Tim Green's asking, does Tyler Buckner have eligibility? I believe no, he is not.
I think he's done. Yeah.
Yeah, he's done. So they're in a new holder. So that's the situation with Porath. Anything on him?
Well, I just think that is, to me, that's the perfect kind of guy if you want to get, because he's multiple years of eligibility left, right? So he's done well in his 2 years. And obviously was better this year. And he's an Indiana guy. He's from the state of Indiana. And that's someone that you hope is your kicker for the next 2 years at Notre Dame. And I just think that they're in a good spot. And then the thing is too, is like, they have Schmidt I don't think Schmidt's going to leave right now. I mean, the thing is, if Schmidt leaves right now, where's he going to go? Like, right. There's probably going to be nothing really for him. So his best bet is to try to beat out, Portwest. And if that happens, that's probably good, because that he's good. So I think it's ideal. It's an ideal situation, and hopefully it's not like, fingers crossed, like the last 2 years they've had the injuries at kicker, and hopefully that just doesn't happen again. But it seems pretty, like, I can't even recall a kicker having 2 injuries at kicker in back.
The same injury too, the hip, or the hip groin, whatever that situation. It was the same. Definitely a very unique thing. He's kicked in Notre Dame Stadium, so that's cool, right? He kicked against Notre Dame last year. He was 3 for 3 in the game. Made a 48-yarder. He seems to have like a very simple motion, which is good. Like, it's just like a little pop with his leg. And so I like that. And I like how the ball jumps off his foot. And the thing is like, look, I don't need a kicker to be making 50 plus. It's just like, when you do kick, are you reliable, right? Because I'm totally fine with, as long as you know what your kicker can do, then you can plan around it, right? But it can't be one of these things where it's like, it's 4th and 6 from the 20, and we don't really want to go for it, but we need to, because this ball is not getting anywhere close, and that was kind of the deal last year. It didn't hurt them. Like, it ended up hurting them in any game. But it's just like, it could, right? And, it had Notre Dame made the playoffs, it might have reared its head. So that's a negative thing. Marcus Freeman talked about tweaks to the kind of schedule as far as getting the team prepared. He said the team wasn't prepared to win in the opening game because they lost. So it's like, if they had been prepared to win, they would have won, but they weren't, because they went up and lost the game. A lot of people have been kind of concerned about that. And, this kind of bled into the conversation about USC, right? Where, he kind of took responsibility in the fact that, like, hey, we're not going to play week 0, right? He's a competitive guy, but it doesn't help our team.
He didn't say what he wanted to say.
He definitely didn't, because he laughed and,
Yeah.
whatever. But it was like, he didn't see it as a benefit to his football team to play in week 0. He also kind of implied, like, as soon as this group of leadership gets out of there, then this rivalry will restart.
Those guys are getting canned.
Yeah. Having Notre Dame, Jamie, number 1 portal plus recruiting.
I saw that.
Portal plus recruiting. It seems like they elevated in that in that way of doing things after losing Chad Bowden. It's funny, the Mike Martin thing. Like, so much negativity about him. I mean, would you say this is leaving out Gray? I don't, if they land him, I think it kind of pushes things very much. But would you say this is the best portal class they've signed? I mean, just on paper, right? Like, it's hard to evaluate, like, results.
I think it's the best. It's the best mix of production and potential. So yeah, I would give it as, like, I think, because, and it is the best too, because they have guys with multiple years.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many guys, like Sanders, for example. He could be a good player for Notre Dame this year. He could be an All-American in 2020. Like, that's the kind of thing that, you hope for something like that. Or like Breu could be a very good player for Notre Dame this year. And then maybe the next year he's even better. Like, there's all of that, because you're going to get that now, right? Like, I think that's one of the things of, like, even though it's like quietly, like, Elijah Hughes, you get him and he has 2 years of eligibility. It's like, well, he was good. Well, that would have kind of sucked if Elijah Hughes, you only had him for the 1 year, but now you get him for 2 years. And there's all of that, right? So I think that's, a really good, that is what changes it. And then I think too, like, the guys that they're taking the chances on, who don't have the production, are, like, as sky high ceiling as you can think of, right? Like, it doesn't get, bigger than the guys there that also are, I think, are fits for, like, Graham is a Fort Wayne guy. He has, like, familiarity with the program. They recruited him. They obviously couldn't get into school, but there's a familiarity there that can help him be successful. There's a familiarity there with Keeley that I think can help him be successful. Yeah. Obviously, Porter was a guy that they were after and wanted, so it wasn't like they aren't familiar with him too. So there's a lot of that, I think, there. Coach Humph asked, sorry, just real quick aside, because Coach Humph asked about this D3 kid who's like an edge rusher. You don't have to even put it up, but okay. I am aware of that guy, Liam. God, now I forget his last name, but he's like a D3, like, crazy guy who was like an All-American, like a freak athlete guy. Heard of him, but that's it. Like, haven't watched any of them or anything like that. I know that like I think Wisconsin is after him. There's a bunch of D1 schools that are after him. So he's obviously intriguing guy.
Dante Moore's coming back, if you're interested in that.
Coming back,
yeah. Not going pro. We got a question in the chat about Quincy Porter. Just let's assume health. Okay. What can he be? Let's say next year. What can he be next year? Assuming health, again, like I said.
Like, so this fall.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think he could be the starting boundary and like a big time player if he's healthy.
Take away number considerations. Like, who would you say, oh, they can give him like this type of stuff, like this type of production, I guess. Don't consider the numbers.
Don't consider the numbers.
I'm thinking,
like, just what type of player? Could
he be like Miles Boykin? Could he be like?
I think he could be like a Miles Boykin.
Okay,
that's what I think. I honestly think he could be a Miles Boykin in 2018. I think that is on the table for him. And I think obviously after that, I think that's could be like this year thing if he's healthy. And beyond that, he could be like Claypool 2019 or better. Like that is, I think, on the table for him. He's a super, super talented kid.
I think Malachi Fields, like that type, I think that's in play because I think he's that good with the ball in the air. I do. The only thing I don't know is like, man, can he run that post like he did against Purdue? Like that's where Malachi Fields is kind of a special athlete in a way that I don't know that Quincy Porter can do that against college players. But everything else,
yeah,
like
I haven't seen it from him.
Yeah, like but everything else, I kind of think that's what they could get. And again, this is it's all dependent on health and everything. What do you think about what I was saying with those three receivers, with like feeling like they can, like with Graham, Greathouse, and Faison, just kind of being interchangeable throughout the field and just being able to, like, could they do like a left-right thing?
I think they could. I think it's possible that could happen. I do think I agree with you too that Graham, it's like not out of the question that he could play the boundary. Like size wise and stuff, he is a guy like who has, if you've seen like pictures of him recently, like there's a picture, if you can check the little portal scouting notes story that I had on him, like on ISD, you can see like that's a very recent picture of him in January, and he's jacked. Like he looks like a boundary receiver. So
like what, like is 6'1", 200?
Yeah, he's like 6'1", 200.
Okay. Devaris Daniels, 6'1", 200.
Yeah. Physically, I'd say
played boundary. I mean, he did.
Yeah.
He did that with Notre Dame in 2014. Or no, I'm sorry, 2013. He's a very good player. Like I don't know why they couldn't do that with him. I don't know why they couldn't do that with him if Porter isn't ready to go. I mean, he's very similar to Micah Gilbert. Like I just don't know why. And that's part of why I think, a lot of people thought like, Faison or whatever. I think the idea is that he can play wherever. And so I just think that's kind of in play for Notre Dame.
Well, I also think that Faison, I think so many people are not giving Faison the credit for how great he was last year. Like he wasn't even just good. He was great. Like he was great. Like think of how many, and basically with him just catching like free access stuff for a lot of it, but turning those into first downs consistently, like was fantastic after the catch. Like always making the first guy miss and just like fighting through a thing. Like obviously really good in the screen game.
Mm-hmm.
And he's somebody too that I think if they could do more and get him into the slot more and do that as well. And so I think one of the things with Mike Denbrock in 2023 at LSU was they were very interchangeable with like who was like the slot. They didn't have like this guy's the slot. That's always who it was. Like Malik Neighbors played in the slot a lot. But he was out wide too. Like they moved him around, and obviously they didn't want anyone to get a beat on him too. Right. But it was smart. It was just really smart that they were always moving him around, and they had, like Brian Thomas was always an outside guy. It wasn't like they were moving him in the slot. I think he probably, very minimally, but they had other guys too. Like Lacey, Kieran Lacey, who was another guy who was like half slot, half out wide, and they would move. And if you look at it that season, they just destroyed people with their matchups in the slot, no matter who it was, just absolutely killed people. And it's just because they had all this talent there that whoever they got there in that spot, they could get a matchup, and it's just forget it. And that's what I think Notre Dame is like. I mean, I'm not saying they have Malik Neighbors on the thing. Like, we got to wait and see till we see Graham and Porter and these guys actually do it. And as good as like Faison was last year, and as good as Greathouse, if like Greathouse is exactly the same guy that he was at the end of 2024 season, that's still a level down from like a Malik Neighbors, right? But there's still a lot of really, really good receivers and a lot of really good options. And I mean, I think that last year that was one of the things is that they had like, well, Pauling, he can cook this guy. Like he can beat this guy out of the slot, and Fields can cook this guy and do this, and Faison, and they never really had like a true fourth guy. They would play more guys, but they never had a true fourth guy there. And it would have been Greathouse, obviously. But now they might even have 4 or 5 that they could actually do some things with this year. I think they have a chance to be deeper, right?
Yeah.
So, and that isn't even, that's not even taking into account like what we were saying about like Elijah Burris could be like, man, I'm coming out with my hair on fire in spring and just like, hey, I don't care that you're bringing in Miley Graham. Like, I'm going to beat him up. Like, all of that, right? So, it is the healthiest receiver situation has been in a long, long time.
Yeah. Healthy, in terms of numbers, healthy in terms of talent, healthy in terms of just like speed. Obviously that's a really big deal for Notre Dame. Couple things. KVA, you mentioned, is going to be hopefully the start of the season. They could probably ease him in, to be honest. I don't think they're going to be rushing him around. Drake Bowen is probably going to miss like live portions of spring. He'll be out there doing things, but he's probably going to miss a lot of the like live tackling, obviously like the spring game, whatever iteration of a spring game Notre Dame has this year. He's going to be missing that because he had surgery on his hip. He had a torn labrum in his hip, which I gotta say, like, if that's the kind of thing you're looking at, like as a linebacker, you're playing with a torn labrum. It's another thing where it's like, look, man, he doesn't need to be playing in the Pop-Tarts Bowl with a torn labrum in his hip.
No,
you can have surgery on that. So, that's the kind of thing. But just like leads the team in tackles, just like that kid's a beast, man. Like he's just truly like he's a winner, and he's a captain. I mean, that's why you're a captain, right? Because you play under those kind of things. The kind of last thing I want to talk about before we get going, we have an impromptu show here at a show tomorrow, but I feel like it was so much bad news for the last, like, I don't know, 30 plus days with Notre Dame. Like everything seemed like it was a downer, playoffs going on. Notre Dame's not involved. They're getting brought up in every single playoff game that takes place, every single bowl game that takes place, people bringing them up in a negative way. Obviously there's rumors of Marcus Freeman to the NFL, and everything just had a negative kind of feel to it. And I feel like Marcus Freeman talking today, and it just like he kind of said, get the team back on campus. And once the team got back on campus, like he got very excited because it was like, okay, we're let's start now. Let's get it going. 2026, leave no doubt, I think, is going to be the kind of the theme. So it did feel like, look, I'm sure to some that Marcus Freeman responses aren't going to be good enough. To me, it's just like, it just seemed like, all right, let's go. Like we can start now. It's the 2026 push. And it just seemed like, I don't want to say a weight was lifted, but it was like, okay, it's all going forward from now on. That was kind of my takeaway. I want to get your thoughts.
I think that is extremely well said. And that's pretty much getting everybody back.
Yeah.
And then obviously with the influx of the guys coming in, that leave no doubt. Yes, 100%. That's going to be on t-shirts. Like that is going to be a thing for them. But just where they're at, they have so much returning next season, that are guys that not just were like returning starters, but multi-year starters that play at like a high level that they're bringing back. And young talent who's ready to kind of like mature and do more. And the guys are bringing from the portal and all that too. And it's a dangerous thing when you have that kind of like, it is one thing to be like, oh, you're very close to the national championship. And then it's like, okay, you want to go and like finish the job. This is a different kind of motivation and it's a different kind of fire. And I think that you're just going to see, the whole idea of the revenge tour, I kind of like, yeah, I guess it's fun for the fans, but I do think they are going to really like, they're going to come out really like Wisconsin. Better be ready, Wisconsin, because I think Notre Dame is going to be very, very ready to start the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I don't think it's like revenge tour. I think it's just like we're going for it. Like this is all in. Notre Dame has gone all in here, and we'll see how it goes. We'll have a show tomorrow. Maybe there's be some there's some stuff in the chat about predictions from multiple outlets, from Gray Tion Gray to Notre Dame. So we'll monitor that. We'll check out irishsportsdaily.com, see if Matt or Christian have anything on that, and then we'll press forward. So we'll have our show tomorrow. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you like what you heard, hit that like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know whatever it is we are going live. Like I said, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll try 10 Eastern. We can do that, Jamie. You want to do that? 10 Eastern time? All right. 10 Eastern time, 7 Pacific, and more portal talk. Actually, some good news. Like I think the vibes have fully shifted and people are ready to talk like in a really positive way about the Notre Dame football team in 2026. So, all right. Have a good rest of your day. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Keep hitting and hustling.